Ladies and gentlemen, football fans across the globe, buckle up. Because what we're about to discuss could mark one of the most defining turning points in Manchester United's modern transfer history. The clock is ticking in the summer transfer window. The pressure is rising. And as the final 3 weeks of the market loom large, Manchester United find themselves balancing ambition and necessity, star power and squad harmony, future vision and immediate reality. The dominoes are starting to fall, and the first monumental one, a move that Fabrizio Romano himself has now described as being in the final stages. A transfer that could ripple through Old Trafford's dressing room, shape the squad for years to come, and crucially unlock the door for a massive incoming signing. We're talking about Alejandro Garnacho's shock move to Chelsea. A saga that has been simmering under the surface all summer and now seems ready to explode into reality. And at the same time, we're talking about the man Manchester United want to replace that outgoing energy with a rising midfield powerhouse by the name of Carlos Baleba. But this isn't just about names and numbers on a transfer sheet. This is about politics, finances, personality clashes, and the chess game that is the Premier League's transfer market. The summer so far, United's busy window before we dive into the Garnacho situation, let's set the stage. Manchester United have not been sitting quietly this summer. Under Ruben Amorim's clear and aggressive vision, the club has been a whirlwind of activity in the market. The signings of Matheus Cunha, Bryan Mbeumo, and Benjamin Sesko have not only strengthened the squad but have also sent a clear message to the football world. Old Trafford is done being a museum of past glories. It's time for a team that fights, runs, and dominates in the present. Cunha brings that relentless energy in the final third. Mbeumo adds width, pace, and an underrated work rate that fits perfectly into Amorim's high-pressing system. And Sesko, well, Sesko is the young striker United hope will lead their line for the next decade. Combined, these three deals have already seen United spend over £200 million. That's an eye-watering number, even for a club with United's commercial muscle. And here's where the hard reality kicks in. When you've spent that much, and you still want to bring in more players, particularly someone like Carlos Baleba, you have to sell. The balance between buying and selling, every transfer window has its give and take. Spend big, and you have to create space. Both in the wage bill and in the financial fair play accounting for United, this is more than just balancing the books. It's about balancing the dressing room. Amorim has been clear that he wants a united squad, no pun intended, without toxic distractions or divided loyalties. That's where the Garnacho situation takes center stage. The Garnacho saga, from wonder kid to exit door Alejandro, Garnacho was supposed to be one of United's crown jewels. The young Argentine burst onto the scene with fearless dribbles, clutch goals, and a swagger that made fans believe he was the next big star to rise through the club's ranks. But somewhere along the way, that bright future began to fracture. Disagreements behind the scenes, frustrations over playing time or role, and, if reports are to be believed, a deteriorating relationship with key figures at the club have pushed Garnacho toward the exit door. What makes this situation even more complex is Garnacho's stubbornness in choosing his next destination. Multiple clubs could have been in for him, but according to Fabrizio Romano, Garnacho's heart was set on Chelsea and only Chelsea. That single-mindedness has dragged the saga out far longer than expected. Chelsea, for their part, initially saw him as more of a late-window gamble than a marquee signing. They weren't rushing, but Garnacho refused to consider other options. And now the situation has finally begun to align. Fabrizio Romano's final stages bombshell, if you follow transfers, you know there's one phrase from Fabrizio Romano that makes ears perk up. We're not there yet with Garnacho, but when Romano says final stages, you can bet something is moving quickly. Speaking on his YouTube channel, Romano laid it out clearly. Chelsea and Man Utd are now in active talks to reach an agreement. For Alejandro Garnacho, the contract for the player is done 100% already. Chelsea will accelerate now. Garnacho will become a Chelsea player in the summer transfer window. We're entering the final stages. Garnacho, Chelsea player, very soon. That's as close as you get to a done deal without the famous tagline. But, and this is key, there's still the matter of the transfer fee. The money question is £40 million, ENOUGH. United fans have been vocal. And rightfully so. The figure floating around £40 million feels low. In fact, it feels insultingly low when you compare it to other deals in recent memory. Chelsea themselves paid close to £55 million for Noni Madueke, who was older, had less Premier League impact, and carried far more risk as a signing. Garnacho, despite the baggage, has proven himself at Old Trafford and in the league. And this is where the negotiation becomes a battle of principles. On one side, you have a player who has effectively burned bridges, making his continued presence in the squad a ticking time bomb. On the other, you have a club that cannot afford to look weak in the market, especially against a direct Premier League rival. Sell too low, and you send a dangerous message that players can force their way out by turning sour and devaluing themselves. Hold out for more, and you risk the deal collapsing and being stuck with a distraction in the dressing room. The dressing room impact, addition by subtraction sometimes, though the best transfer is the one that removes a problem. Even if United only get £40 million, the benefits go beyond the bank balance. Garnacho's departure could lift a cloud over the team. A United dressing room is priceless, and Amorim knows it. Removing that tension could be the spark that ignites the squad's cohesion. Players talk. They feel the energy around them. When one player is making headlines for the wrong reasons, it distracts from the work on the training pitch. United are trying to launch a new era, one built on discipline, hunger, and team-first mentality. Garnacho's exit, in that sense, is not just about clearing space on the wage bill. It's about clearing space for a healthier culture. The Baleba factor. Why this sale matters. And now, we circle back to Carlos Baleba, the young Brighton midfielder, has been one of the most sought-after prospects in the Premier League over the past year. Strong, technically gifted, and still only in the early stages of his development, Baleba looks like the kind of signing that could anchor United's midfield for the next decade. But Brighton are not in the habit of selling cheap. Their asking price is steep, and United can't simply write another massive check after already spending over £200 million this summer. The Garnacho sale changes that. His transfer fee, especially since he came through United's youth system, would count as pure profit in financial fair play terms. That gives United the breathing room to go all-in for Baleba now instead of kicking the move down the road to next summer. And make no mistake, striking now matters. If United wait, they risk losing Baleba to another top club. Brighton know his value, and so do United. The Chelsea angle, why they want Garnacho. Let's not ignore the other side of this equation. Chelsea's interest in Garnacho might feel opportunistic, but it's also strategic. They've been rebuilding under their ownership, stacking their squad with young, high-upside talent. Garnacho fits that profile perfectly. Fearless, quick, direct, and capable of producing moments of magic. In their minds, this is a chance to grab a player with massive potential from a direct rival. And that's part of why United must stand firm on the price. Selling to Chelsea is never just a transaction. It's a statement either of strength or weakness. The final figure will be as much about pride as it is about pounds. What happens next? We're in the business end of the transfer window. Now, talks are active. The player is ready. The buying club is ready. The selling club, they're holding out for their line in the sand. But with Romano calling it the final stages, you get the sense that we're just days, maybe even hours away from the announcement. And when it drops, it will set off a chain reaction. Garnacho gone. Dressing room reset. Funds unlocked. Baleba bid launched. The new era under Ruben Amorim, taking another big step forward. Manchester United's summer has already been one of the most dramatic in years. But this could be the moment that defines it.